Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Shanita and welcome back to a brand new video. So disclaimer, I was not going to give you guys this labor and delivery story time. When it constantly text me and I comment so I don't want a video. I just thought it would not be relevant anymore since I gave birth like 3 months ago. Like why am I still talking about this? It already gone. But since you guys actually want to hear, then I'm here to deliver. I will not be mentioning the hospital's name. I will not be naming my doctor. I'm gonna try to keep this as private as possible because I don't want to hear me say, yeah, you know, no, no, no. I don't want that. So we're gonna keep this confidential, even a little bit, while still telling you guys like my authentic experience I had at this unnamed hospital. Where do I even start? So I guess I can start off by saying, as you guys know, I think I mentioned in a vlog before that I went into labor around 37 weeks instead of 40. And I had gone to the hospital before, but I wasn't actually in active labor. So we can skip all of that. When you're not yet at 40 weeks, I went in at 37 weeks, 36 weeks, sorry, not 37. So she was 4 weeks early. Yeah, mom said 37, 36 weeks. Yeah, but when you're not yet at 40 weeks, they like to make sure that you're actually in like active labor before they admit you into the hospital. Back, sir, 36 weeks. That's when I went in. With this hospital now, I decided to bring my own doctor. So my gynecologist, my obstetrician, somebody I'm used to, I decided to bring him to the hospital. So he's my private doctor. He was the one going to be performing the surgery and everything. And why I did that is because, I don't know, something about having a stranger perform a C-section on you, which is what I would have to do had I booked the hospital and not my doctor. I'd have to have strange nurses, strange doctor, strange anesthesiologist, just nobody, nobody in there. And I wanted to make sure that I had somebody I was comfortable with, somebody who knows my pregnancy, who knows my body. When I get it's a surgery. It's serious. So I just wanted to make sure that I had somebody that I trust working on me. So long story short, I went in there from the Thursday, like I said, then I came up because I wasn't in active labor, then I went again. I think it's around Sunday. Yeah. Like I said, everything is still fresh in my mind, but I wanted to do this early on is because I remember back then I would remember the dosage of the medication, the days, the time, everything vividly. Like I remember I had facts. If I did do it like as I come out to the hospital, only would I get like a proper, I had everything fresh in my mind. But right now it's been 3 months, girl. Pregnant, postpartum brain is kicking me for 6, I lick me for 6. So that's another problem. I do remember though. Like I remember things that traumatized me. Those things I remembered vividly, like I'm there. Yeah. So first complaint, first problem I had, first reason why I will one not go back to the hospital, and two, further yet, not have any more kids. I'm done having babies. But I'm done having babies. So when I went there the Thursday, I had seen a set of doctors, and I know they changed shifts. So I had seen a set of doctors, them write down everything, and when I went back there, I thought they were just gone for the file, and I would have to say that, oh, I was there for I was here Thursday because so and so happened. I thought I was in labor, now I'm back. So I had to be telling the story of me being there on Thursday and me coming back over and over again. So I was seeing a lot of student nurses and student doctors. Another disclaimer. I am all for, as you know, I am all for like training and teaching the doctors and the nurses of the future. They're important. I understand that. But at the same time, I think there's a fine line between too little and too much. And I was seeing, some people have complaints to the nurse doctor. I was seeing too many. And I had to be explaining myself to too many people. Like, I'm in pain, I'm now in labor, and I had to be telling my story over and over and over again. So a nurse would come in, then one would pass on, I guess, I don't know, they never even changed shift yet. but somebody else would come in, ask me the same story, check my blood pressure, check the contractions. Then she said she could call another somebody else, another doctor, not the actual doctor, but I think the resident or some you have your medical terms. This is a lot of people I was seeing, and none of them actually knew, or none of them fully knew the story, because my file was not there. I don't know where it was. I don't know who had it. They said I had sent for it, but I never get it. So I had to be telling my story over and over again. On top of that, the waiting before they admit you is lengthy. So I was there from around 5 o'clock, and I think they admitted me when they finally decided that it was true contractions and I was actually in active labor was around 11 o'clock. So the whole time I was seeing one bunch of nurses. They were asking me the same questions. I was on this uncomfortable ass bed because I don't know what that bed is made of, but it would literally feel like me I laid up on a ply, like, or concrete. It was uncomfortable. It was just a very uncomfortable situation to begin with. Fast forward now to when they actually decided that, all right, I can admit her. She's actually in active labor. The baby actually at home. We can take her. My doctor, like I said, I had carried him to the hospital because I wanted somebody personal, like I said. Couldn't get him. Could not get him. Well, I called him phone, bear man. He told me, he was like, okay, let's meet at the hospital. So I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. Could not get him. I called him. The hospital, I called him. Could not get him. When we finally got him, he was like, all right, prepare for surgery. The baby is coming. So, I know if you've experienced this, when you're doing a surgery, when you're doing a C-section, they give you a consent form. The anesthesiologist came in, brought a consent form, and I basically signed away my life. I think the most traumatic thing about this time around, as it relates to like delivery, is how aware I was, because with Eden, I was here but not really here. I was blacking out. I was high on medication. I was being induced, so they were giving me pain medication and the oxytocin to mimic the contractions. There was just a lot of meds. But with this one, I was painfully aware of what was going on. So they had me sign the consent form. They're basically telling you that in case of anything, this can lead to death. Everything death. You're gonna die. Death. That's basically what they were saying. They're basically telling you what can happen if everything goes south, which is very traumatic to think about when you're going into surgery. And like I said, unlike the last time, I was painfully aware this time of what was going on because I was not high on medication like I was the last time. Last time we did pumped up on everything when they were giving me. So I was there but I was not there. This time I was wide awake and in pain, so I was feeling everything. Like I was reading the consent form. It just freaked me out because I'm like, if anything happened, I'm gonna die. And in the back of my mind, I don't know why I had a bad feeling. I don't know. I just had a bad feeling. I don't know why. So what I did not know is that your partner wasn't allowed in the OR with you. So with Eden, I had the privilege, which I didn't know it was a privilege at the time, but I had the privilege of having my partner in there with me. Wasn't the case now. So I went inside and I remember in there being freezingly cold. Like I know you have to keep it cold because you're trying to keep everything sterile, but even there was freezingly cold. And I remember how long the needles were. I remember the feeling of getting that spinal tap. I remember being curved over and then pushing the needle in my spine. I remember everything. I vividly remember everything. Yeah, everything remember. And when we started, I remember vividly, unfortunately, like with a C-section, you're awake but you can't feel pain. So I was numb from like the neck down. I couldn't feel anything, but you can't feel the pain, but you definitely feel the sensation. So I could feel the tugging, I could feel the ripping, I could feel everything. It was just very traumatic. I feel like I was lying there This is how the man, the man, this is literally how I feel, pushing down on my belly, and this literally, that's how I felt. And I wanted to throw up. I was just having really, I don't know if it's the medication that was causing me to feel like nauseated, but I was just nauseous. And the anesthesiologist, thank God for that man, because he literally he had a cotton swab and hold my nose. He had a cotton swab soaked in alcohol and he hold it in my nose. I was helping with the nausea because I couldn't vomit. I'd have to turn and vomit because I'm numb from the neck down, and my cut open on the bed, and he never hold a cotton swab on my nose. And I was shaking for the medication once again, or was it because I don't know if it was because I was cold or it's just my nerves, but I was just, this is my hand, like not even a tremble, like shit, properly a shake. I lie down because they had the blood pressure machine on this hand, it was right here, and I was just shaking uncontrollably. Yeah. And he was like, do you want to listen to some music? I was like, I would rather call my husband. Can you call my husband? And he was like, no, unfortunately, we can't make any call from inside the OR. I was like, okay. Policy is policy. I don't ever argue with policy because it's policy. So I was like, okay. Can you at least... And he was like, no. He suggested this. He was like, I can play some music. Do you want to listen to some music? And I was like, okay. And he was playing Billie Eilish for me. And I will never forget, Ella came out to Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For? That's actually like the song. She's coming out, I heard her cry, and he was playing in the background. It was magical. So that moment was traumatic because of how I was shaking. I can't even put it into words. The feeling of fear all over my body. I was just in fear, and I was just shaking, and I don't know, I felt like something would just go wrong. I don't know why I had that feeling like something was going to go wrong. It was just traumatic. But luckily, after they push out the baby, after they pull her out of me, they basically give you a medication and it relaxes you so they can finish the surgery. I was on cloud nine once again. So between that time and me coming out to the OR and getting Ella again, I don't remember the time span of that because they gave me drugs and I was medicated. So when I got Ella now, and I saw her for the first time, held her for the first time, because in the OR, I touched her, I couldn't hold her because I'm strung up. So I held her for the first time, saw her, kissed her. It was just beautiful, magical, loved it. Out of nowhere, blood started rush out of me. Literally. That's the only way I can describe it. There was just a gush of blood rushing from my vagina. And I remember calling in the nurse. The nurse called her in fast and she's like, Daddy, you have to leave. And I had to come out. And she was like, she checked my IV and she realized I was not getting oxytocin. So with oxytocin, that's supposed to help you push out, like, that's supposed to help you basically push out the blood clots from the surgery. So I was behind, my IV was positional, so I wasn't really getting the oxytocin. It was there, but it wasn't going, in. So I was behind for an hour on the oxytocin, which we did not know. And the rush of blood, that was when I was like, yeah, this is the feeling I've been feeling. I knew shit was good. I knew something. I don't know. I had that feeling. I was like, something is, I don't know if it was fear at the time, but I just had a bad feeling. Just had a bad feeling. And that never happened with Eden. With Eden, and it's normal, not normal for that to happen. But at the same time, the first C-section is normally easier because your body has never gone through that before. You've never been cut open before. This time it's going to be a little bit rockier because even my obstetrician, when he was doing the surgery, he had said that there's some scar tissue from the past surgery. So when that happened now, I was like, oh my God, shit, I'm gonna die, shit. So when she's like, bear in mind, if you know how your abdomen feels after you deliver a baby, or after you have a C-section, to be specific. And to get out the blood clot, she had to be pushing. When I say pushing, I mean pressing down on my belly, like pressing out all. This was her motion. This is my belly. She was like pressing out the blood clots, and such a pressing more lamp on her hand. I should put her hand over it because I was in so much pain. And she's like, "Mommy, you can't do that. Mom, if you can't do that, I have to get it out. I won't make a hemorrhage on me." And I was like, I don't know if she was trying to like tell me, like give me all the information so I can know that if I don't allow her to do what she's doing, that's what's going to happen. But that just made me even more afraid of what was the whole situation. It just made me panic a lot more. And yeah, so she was like, "Man, I make a dead for me." I'm like, hold the phone. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. Wait. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean? You know, I'm a dead for you. When? What do you mean die? What do you mean death? But also, that's when I started to panic though. I was like, I know she had tried. I'm aware of what would happen if I never move my hand and stop holding on her hand. But at the same time, it just made it just traumatized me. I remember that feeling, how helpless, how traumatized, how panicked I was. I was just, Jesus Christ, my God. I was like, at them time, but it did work. It worked. At them time, my leg around, I was like, in pain, screaming in pain, and she just pressed down my belly, and so she pressed down some blood clots that come out. So she pressed some blood clots that come out. At that moment, I was like, I knew. I don't know why I had that feeling. I know why I had that feeling, because in my mind I was like, what if my body didn't tell me that there was like blood clots piling up inside of me? Because by that time my body wasn't pushing out the blood clots because I wasn't getting the oxytocin, so it was piling up inside of me. And if the rush of blood never come out, I would have probably just a whole Ella. And I can't laugh now, but I assure you I was not laughing in the moment. I was not laughing in the moment. So yeah, that happened, but we moved past it. I'm fine. Ella's fine. So yeah, we're up on the ward now. My problem with that when I came out to the recovery room and I went up on the ward, I feel like when I tell you guys this part, like this segment of my experience, some people can kind of pick up on which hospital. So because I have to like give you guys kind of like facts. So with a hospital I went to have Eden, that was a private hospital. So I had a room. In my room is like a suite. In my room I had my bathroom and TV, and I was nice and comfortable on my own bed, my own space. Yeah, I had assigned nurses and I was chilling. We were good. But with this hospital, why I chose this hospital is because I am O negative. So if you know O negative blood type, you are the universal donor. So you can give blood to anybody, but you can only get back O negative. So because it's a surgeon, it's a C-section, my doctor had recommended, if anything, let's go to that hospital because they'll be able to better facilitate me with like blood and any of that. If any more emergency, if I need anything, they'll have it. They'll most likely have it there than if I had gone to the one that I wanted to go to. So we went there. So I went up on the ward now. Why I didn't like, my main problem with this hospital is I felt neglected. I felt like a lab rat because once again I said they have a lot of practice nurses and a lot of practice doctors, and while I understand that we need to help and train and I need practice and I need patience, I get that. I'm not oblivious to that. But at the same time, there must be like there must be a line that is drawn where it's too much. It's you're seeing too many like student nurses for the day. But remember, like when I come out of the hospital, I look like a meth head. I look like a crackhead. I look like my heroin. I look like my. You see my hand? I had right here so black and blue, like a big bruise right here. So because she was telling me she tried to put the IV in her vein right here. I said, Mom's, me not really. This year you can barely see anything right here. So I was like, boy, you put the IV. What is going on? What are you doing? But she said she saw something, so she tried, and there was nothing. She missed it. Big bruise right here, so. Right, so I have an IV in it too. Them try right there, so. Them try over the honey right there, so. There was right here. There was right here. People, I'm not telling this thing, I left the hospital, I just look like a proper crackhead. Like a proper. I'm gonna take heroin every day. Like, proper addict. And I was like, no, I just felt like a lab rat. I felt like they were inexperienced, and I know this is the only way they can get experience. It was just too much. It was too much, and I was seeing a lot of them. Like I remember at one point it got to the point where while they were checking on me, they were checking on Ella too. So they would come and they would have their little notebooks, and then one will come before the other, and I was just seeing one bag of them, and they will come check Ella. Oh, mommy, how's baby? Like, she's fine. And then check her blood pressure, and then check her temperature, and then 30 minutes after is another one. Home. At one point, I remember on the third day, I was just, one thing about me, I have a social battery. I'm very sweet. I'm a very sweet person. But when I've had enough, I've had enough. And by the third day, I was at my limit. I was like, she's fine. You tested it half an hour ago. She's fine. It's the same reading from half an hour ago. Like, they were all practicing, so they all needed their notes. I get it. I get it, but at the same time, it just made me feel like the experience was just. I was just a lab rat. I was in pain. I was just traumatized by blood rushing out of me and felt like I was going to die. I had a new baby. I could not see my baby, my other baby, because they didn't allow babies on the ward. Visiting hours, they had 2 visiting hours. One from I think 11 to 12:30, and another one in the evening. And they only allowed maximum 2 visitors to be in the room with you, not room, but the little section with you at a time. So when my mother and my sister come in, they'd have to leave. So tired, and whoever can come in. But it was just, I remember that being probably the saddest. Like, while after I had the baby, after I had the baby blues just kick in. And then I was just sad. I remember that being such a low point for me. I was just very, very sad. And I didn't really feel supported by the nurses, really. I didn't really feel, I couldn't see my family as often because, like I said, they had visiting hours. And I don't know, I felt like I was alone most of the time. I cried. I ain't gonna hide. I wasn't gonna lie. I cried. I was crying. And I used to hide and cry. It was just such a sad time. It was just such a sad time. And on top of that, with that hospital, I felt like I had to be reminding them about my meds. There were no communication between the nurses and the doctors. Everybody did just the all over the place. I had to be reminding them. I remember one time I felt I was in crippling pain. I could not move, and I was like, why am I in so much pain? One thing about surgeries, like when you have such a serious surgery, you're not supposed to be feeling the pain, so you're supposed to be numbed. And I remember I was in crippling pain. And I called the nurse, and she was like, she never ever realized that I was 3 hours behind on my medication. So I should have gotten my pain medication 3 hours ago. And if I never called her, and if the pain never lit me, they wouldn't have known. they wouldn't have known. So it literally just felt like there was just no communication between the doctors, the nurses, and nobody. They were just, I don't know, I don't know if they're understaffed with like registered nurses, and they had like a lot of student nurses. I don't know what it was, but it just felt like everything was just all over the place. And when I was going to leave on my last day, I basically had to be, when I got a hospital or when you go, public hospitals, it's an example, I have to like walk behind, like almost run behind doctors for them to realize, oh, you're supposed to get this and you're supposed to get that. Like you have to do everything as the patient. That's how I felt at that hospital. Like I felt like I had to be reminding them, oh, I'm supposed to get this medication at that time. Oh, my baby is supposed to be doing this blood test to check for that. Oh, I'm supposed to see this doctor so she can write my notes so I can leave. It was just like, and then I would ask the nurse what happened to the doctor, and she's like, which doctor? And I'm like, I told that nurse that I was supposed to talk to this doctor. And it was just, everything was just all over the place. There was just no like it was just a shit show. Yeah, that's the only way I can explain it. Literally just a shit show. So when it was time to leave, them finally bust me, and I was there for not more than a week, almost a week. When it was finally time for them bust me, I was supposed to get my last round of medication, and they were like, "Oh, they ran out." So I call my GP now, because I'm like, she's like, same me for time I said them not have none of that medication in the whole hospital. They ran out. They ran out. So I had to, and I remember this being probably one of the most painful car rides I've ever. No, it was the most painful car ride I've ever. Because when I was going home with Eden, it was painful, but I was medicated. With this one, them never have the medication, so I remember feeling every single bump in the road, every stone, every gravel, everything up on the road. I was feeling it. Yeah. So it was just overall like a terrible experience. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. And then when I got home, I realized they gave me the wrong dosage for something. So I was on 6 medication: antibiotics, pain medication for my stomach, because I was taking lots of medication. So I was on a lot of medication, but the medication for the pain, to be specific, the prescription they had written, the dosage was too low, so I would take the medication and it would wear off in an hour, and I couldn't take another one because I was supposed to only take it every like 3 times a day, so I couldn't exceed that. So I called my obstetrician now. He must say, why would they prescribe that to you? Why would they prescribe something with them no can cover your pain level? Like, you just did a surgery. Why are you getting regular Voltaren? Love a Voltaren, but at the same time, the Voltaren could not cover the amount of pain I was feeling, and I was only getting the Voltaren and a cataflam for the inflammation. As it relates to it, I wasn't really getting the amount of pain medication like to cover the amount of pain I was feeling. And I was like, that's another thing with the hospital, because why? Like, why not get it right in the first place? So yeah, so that was basically it. Oh, another thing with the hospital, which I never even remember. I was going to finish this video without even mentioning that this is my number one problem. Bear in mind, everything else is my situation. So me bleeding, really and truly, she could have checked if I was getting the oxytocin, but fine. I had the IV in, so she probably thought I was getting it, but that was my situation. That's the reason why I child like delivery is traumatic. That situation, the too much poking and prodding and the nurses and all that, problems with the hospital. Me having to check on my medication and reminding them constantly that I need to get everything and staying on top of things, problems with the hospital. But you see, this is my main problem with the hospital. I remember they were supposed to do a blood test on Ella, and she was in her cot. So I know my baby. And luckily they did a blood test too. So the blood test that they did, that would have confirmed it if anything did iffy. But I saw her, I knew how she looked. She have a head of hair, she have straight hair, like no curls, no nothing. I just still have it to this day. I head up, she had come out with a perfect pixie cut. So I knew her, but they did not tag her. So when the doctor come, they're supposed to tag your babies. And so as you leave, as you give birth to her, they're supposed to tag her and then give her back to you. So the man comes to the blood test now and I asked her, Ella. They know any Ella, yeah. So they're like, oh, she's the one in the bassinet. They're like a line of babies. I'm like, which one? She not on a tag. I was like, what the fuck you saying to me? What do you mean she not on a tag? Me now never realized them never tagged the baby. They did not tag the baby. So somebody could have just come, take a picnic, gone with her, and then we'd have an episode of Switched at Birth. Then we wouldn't know where Ella did. Let me have somebody fit me because they did not tag her. So I could have had anybody could have had. I'm just thinking about the possibility of how that could have just gone very badly if because they never tag her. I'm like, can't you guys stay on top of y'all shit? Like I was at my wit's end when it got to that point because I was like, all right, get me out of here. Just get me out of here. I'm ready to like leave because at this point there must be some order. There must be. Let me even tell myself. But I like to say, and I will say at the end of this video, that don't make because of my bad experience make you guys stray from having kids, because my experience might not be yours, and while yours might be worse than mine or better, you just have to see for yourself, honestly. But yeah, so not doing that again because I am now after Eden. That was traumatic, but this was just a cherry on top, the icing on the cake. I am fully tapped out on all of that, guys. Like, I can't tell you how lost. That was probably my lowest point in life. I was just lost. Like I said, and like the Ministry of Health has been saying, we need more kids because the birth rate is low, and don't because of me. Like, you know, I have kids because children are the future, and human beings are here to multiply, populate this earth. Well, I am done with my population. Don't because of me. Like, you know, yeah, because my mother has 6 kids and she just pushed them out naturally, and she might have some rough patch, but she could. So don't because of my bad experiences I don't like doing these videos because of that. But you know, I'm always here to tell you guys the truth because I feel like most of these things are not talked about enough. Like a lot of things that I've learned during pregnancy or even just delivering, I've never, like, no matter how much videos I watch or books I read, and never tell me what to expect. So I like watching like raw labor and delivery stories where people tell you like this happened. So I don't shy away from it. But y'all are welcome. That was my story. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in next week's video. Bye.